great to meet you. How's your day?
Thank you so much. Okay. So, yeah. It's just us. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Shrota Shri Srimad Abhaya Charnaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Shrota Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Thakur Shri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind Ki Nam Acharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrind Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamakund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jagannath Puri Ki Ganga Mai Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulasi Devi Ki Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Taking over the world with Sri Prabhupada's transcendental book distribution and the Varnashram farm communities. Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale. Srimade Bhakti Vikasa Swami Namane. Okay, so today being the disappearance day of Sri Ramananda Raya, we can read from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya, Jaya Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra, Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Guru Maharaj said he chanted this right before.
He also chanted Om Namo Bhagavate.
So what would you like me to do? Guru Maharaj only did one.
He did
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, we're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 8. One second. Okay, Madhya Leela, chapter 8, text number 45. Prabhu.
Text 45.
44, sorry. Kahe tumi maha bhagavata uttama tomar darshane sabar drava haila mana. Prabhu kahe tumi maha bhagavata uttama tomar darshane sabar drava haila man. Prabhu kahe tumi maha bhagavatotam. Tomar darshane sabar drava hailaman. Prabhu kahe tumi maha bhagavatotam. Tomar darshane sabar drava hailaman. Prabhu kahe tumi maha bhagavatotam. Tomar darshane sabar drava hailaman. Please repeat.
Prabhu kahe tumi maha bhagavadotam. Tomar darshane sabar drava hailaman. Prabhu kahe tumi maha bhagavadotam. Tomar darshane sabar drava hailaman. Prabhu
kahe tumi maha bhagavatotam. Darshane sabar drava hailaman. Kahe tumi maha bhagavatotam. Tomar darshane sabar drava hailaman. Mataji. Prabhu kahe tumi maha bhagavatotam. Kahe tumi maha bhagavatotam. Tomar darshane sabar drava hailaman. Prabhu kahe. The Lord replied, to me, you, Mahabhagavatutam, the best of the topmost devotees. Tomara darshane, by seeing you. Sabar, of everyone. Drava, melted. Haila, became. Man, the heart. Translation. And commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Lord replied to Ramananda Raya, Sir, you are the best of the topmost devotees. Therefore, simply the sight of you has melted everyone's heart. Purport. Unless one is a first-class devotee, he cannot be a preacher. A preacher is generally a topmost devotee, but in order to meet the general populace, he has come to distinguish between devotees and non-devotees. Otherwise, an advanced devotee makes no such distinctions. Indeed, he always sees that everyone is engaged in the service of the Lord. When one engages in preaching work, he must distinguish between people and understand that some people are not engaged in devotional service of the Lord. The preacher then has to take compassion upon such innocent people who do not know how to worship the Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.45, the symptoms of a topmost devotee are described as follows. Sarvabhuteshu yaf pashyat bhagavad bhavanam atmanaha bhutani bhagavat atman yesha bhagavatottamaha. The advanced devotee sees that all living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone is in Krishna and Krishna is also within everyone. Such a vision is possible only for a person who is very advanced in devotional service. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tafpada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagan Lalita Shri Vishakan Vatamscha Hey Krishna Karana Sindho Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha Kalpatarubhyashya Pasandubhyevacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swamniti Namine Harijanagana Badi Gnana Karmanda Hari Prakatita Para Bhaktir Bhakti Siddhanta Kantihi Vinayanikara Lakshmi Nimna Medaira Gamyo Bhuvi Jayati Vikaso Bhakti Purvo Yatindraha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamniti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatharine Vagishaya Sevadane Lakshmi Yasya Shivakshasi Yasyasa Hidaya Samved Tamra Simham Aham Bhaje. So we're reading this ecstatic pastime of Lord Chaitanya meeting Sri Ramananda Raya. And here, Lord Chaitanya himself is saying to Ramananda Raya, you are the best of the topmost devotees, therefore simply the sight of you has melted everyone's heart. Then, the next verse, he says, Lord Chaitanya says, although I'm a Mayavadi sannyasi, a non-devotee, I'm also floating the ocean of love of Krishna simply by touching you. What to speak of others? Next verse. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya knew this would happen, and thus to rectify my heart, which is hard, he asked me to meet you. In this way, each of them praised the qualities of each other, and both of them were pleased to see each other. Then, you can see verse number 15. Lord Chaitanya says, Tomar mukhe Krishna katha shunite hai man, punarapi pai yena tomar darshan. I wish to hear from you about Lord Krishna. Indeed, my mind is inclined to desire this. Therefore, I wish to see you again. Then, I just want to read a few verses and speak about this. Ramananda Raya replied, My dear Lord, although you have come to correct me, a fallen soul, my mind is not yet purified simply by seeing you. Please stay here for 5 or 7 days and kindly cleanse my polluted mind. After that much time, my mind will certainly become pure. Although neither could tolerate separation from the other, Ramananda Raya nonetheless offered his obeisances to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and departed. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to the house of the Brahmana who had invited him and took his lunch there. When the evening of that day arrived, both Ramananda Raya and the Lord were very eager to meet each other. So, this is this section of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ramananda Samvad, is a very esoteric section, and we as we read on, anyway, I don't know if we'll be able to read so many of the verses which are in this chapter. We'll find how much, how exalted of a position Ramananda Raya is in. Then I was listening to a lecture by my spiritual master, and he was saying that Lord Chaitanya superficially took a position of a disciple of Ramananda Raya. We can see over here that he's requesting Ramananda Raya to come and speak to him Krishna Katha, speak to him the glories about Krishna. So it's very ecstatic to see that the Supreme Personality of Godhead takes upon a position of servitude to his devotees. The position of being a servant is so exalted that even the Supreme Personality of Godhead likes to take that position. The position of being a disciple is so ecstatic that even the Supreme Personality of Godhead likes to take the position of being a disciple of a very exalted devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we see that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was the most renowned scholar of all times, especially in India. And all the great scholars would come and see him. And then although he was a grihastha, even Mayavadi sannyasis would come to hear from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So it's inconceivable to us. How is it that a Mayavadi sannyasi, they are extremely puffed up people, even though they may appear sometimes they may appear to be very humble. They're actually very puffed up people. How is it that they are able to swallow their pride and come and hear from a grihastha? That itself is pretty bewildering. So we can understand the position of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, not an ordinary position. Why? Because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is Brihaspati. He's Brihaspati. He is the spiritual master of the demigods. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya being Brihaspati, we can only imagine how much knowledge he has and how he was able to impress the Mayavadi sannyasis. But then, after coming in the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya becomes so pleased, he becomes so attached to the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and the process of devotional service, that he completely comes to even hate the word mukti. There's this famous verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Tattenu kampam samikshamano, bunjana evatma kritam vipakam, hidbragva budbir vidadam namaste jivetayo mukti pade sadhaya bhakt. So, he gets so upset with this verse that he changes the word mukti to bhakti. Instead of saying mukti pade sadhaya bhakt, he says bhakti pade sadhaya bhakt. Although Lord Chaitanya appreciated his sentiment of changing that word of mukti to bhakti, still, he did not accept that you can change the word mukti to bhakti, like that from the scripture. And we can say that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was so delighted, he was so pleased with Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya's causes mercy upon him, that he completely had transformed into a pure Vaishnava. And before, he would kind of look down upon Ramananda Raya. Oh, he's a Shudra. Oh, he's a sentimentalist. Ramananda Raya, he's a sentimentalist, worshipping God, saying bhakti is the topmost, and this and that. But he thought, in order for me to make up for my act of offending the lotus feet of Ramananda Raya, let me arrange for him to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And by doing so, I will certainly attain the mercy of Ramananda Raya. So this was Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's plan. He told, my dear Lord, when you're going to South India, when you're going to Kuvur, Godavari, that's Kovur, Godavari, it's still there. It's a Telugu-speaking area, actually, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, it's in Andhra Pradesh. Yes, it's in Andhra Pradesh. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur established a spot where the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya, he established what is called Pada Tirtha or something along these lines. He established this spot where Lord Chaitanya came to speak the highest topic, or came to hear about the highest topics of devotional service from the lotus mouth of Ramananda Raya. So it's a very ecstatic place. And you visited that place? I say, yeah, it's amazing. Apparently, my Guru Maharaj was giving a lecture in that spot, speaking about the different pastimes which took place between Ramananda Raya and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes there to bathe by the bank of the river Godavari, and he's performing all his duties as a sannyasi must perform. And then all of a sudden he hears a big procession coming from one side, and then he sees that in this procession there's a person being carried on a palanquin, and this person is none other than Ramananda Raya. Although he was a Shudra, he was born in the Kayastha class. And Kayasthas are very well-paid Shudras. Very well-paid Shudras. Ramananda Raya was a Kayastha. Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared in the Kayastha family. Ramananda Raya appeared in the Kayastha family. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also appeared in the Kayastha family. These are very what's the word to use? Very talented people. They have a lot of, they have a lot of brain power, and they can work in such a way that they get most of the job done. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's written that if the dacoits find out that a person's from the Kayastha community, then they never let them go. They don't kill them, and they never let them go, and they make them work for them because they know how capable these people are. So he was a governor of the Madras province, and at that point of time, Madras is not what we see now. It's much bigger, much bigger. And he was under the governance of Maharaja Prataparudra, Ramananda Raya. So he was in such an exalted position. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sees him. And then it says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Lord Chaitanya saw Ramananda Raya, immediately his mind, he started running towards him. But it says that he didn't run towards him, although his mind ran towards him. His mind ran towards Ramananda Raya. And he was feeling such great ecstasy upon seeing Ramananda Raya. And the minute Ramananda Raya saw him, immediately he offers his obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then immediately both of them embrace each other. And when they embrace each other, it's described in Chaitanya Charitamrita that they displayed such high levels of loving devotion that people could not understand. That their eyes started watering, their voice started faltering, the hairs of their body started standing on end. All the ecstatic symptoms that we can do. Badde nanjali nana tena sirasa, gatri saromod gamai, kantena swara gad gadena na ene nodgirna bhaspam puna. Nityam Tvaccharanara Vindayugala Dhyanamrita Swadinam Asmakam Sarasiru Hakshasatam Sampadyatam Jivatam. So it's described that the great devotees, when they experience the ecstasy of devotional service, immediately Baddena Jarinana Tena Sirasa, they bow down to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and their eyes, Baddena Jarinana Tena Sirasa, Gatri Saromod Gamai, that their eyes they blast forth tears. And right, we were seeing that even Bahu Shira Prabhu was speaking about how Shri Prabhupada was once singing Jai Radha Madhava, and all of a sudden tears just shot out of Shri Prabhupada's eyes, and the devotees in the front, their clothes were wet from Prabhupada's tears. So this is very ecstatic. Badena Anjalina Natena Sira Gatri Saromod Gamai. Then they're completely drowned in that emotion, they're crying, their eyes are flooding with tears. That their voices are faltering, they're unable to speak. And it describes in Chaitanya Charitamrita that when both of them met, even to say Krishna, their voice was faltering. They were so ecstatic. So, we can't understand how ecstatic it was. And they both embraced each other, and they were completely oblivious to the external world. Why? Because Lord Chaitanya is Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahayana. He is Radha and Krishna combined. And Srila Prabhupada writes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that Ramananda Raya is none other than Vishaka Sakhi, the most the most intimate associate of Srimati Radharani. That he is Vishaka. Some places it says she is Lalita, some places it says it's Vishaka. But Prabhupada writes in one purport that I just read, that the Ramananda Raya is Vishaka. So we can hardly understand the exalted position of Sri Ramananda Raya. We can hardly understand. We can hardly conceive. Why? Because Vishaka, she is there in the spiritual world, and she's one of the most intimate associates of Srimati Radharani. And in another place in Srila Prabhupada's books, he says that Ramananda Raya is also Arjuna. So in Gaura Leela, there's two personalities combined. There's like Lord Chaitanya is Radha and Krishna. Then we can see that Nityananda Prabhu is Balaram and Ananga Manjari. Then like this we can see so many, but there's two personalities together. That's why I says that Ramananda Raya is Vishaka and Arjuna combined. So we can see how close of a relationship this person must have with the Supreme Lord. Because as Arjuna, he's so close to Krishna. And as Vishaka, she is so close to Radharani. Krishna also, but she's under Radharani directly. Fanning Radharani, performing all these things. So, we see that Ramananda Raya, he is in such an elevated position that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu likes to hear about Krishna from the lotus mouth of Ramananda Raya. This is a very unique situation. It's a very unique situation. And if we read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 3 of Adi Leela, it speaks about the external reasons for Lord Chaitanya's appearance. And if we read the chapter 4 of Adi Leela, which speaks about the internal reasons for the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the internal reasons. And what was the internal reason? What is the internal reason for the appearance of Lord Chaitanya? What was it? Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Okay, more? Mm-hmm. The whole purpose of Lord Chaitanya's appearance is to experience what Radharani experiences when she serves Krishna. So, the service of Ramananda Raya, and we can focus on him today. The service of Ramananda Raya was to was to help Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forget that he's a combination of Radha and Krishna. That don't think that you're Krishna now. Understand the bhav of Srimati Radharani. Understand this. Understand the bhav of Srimati Radharani. And every night in the Gambhira, should we close the windows because it's going to be raining? Will the water come inside the temple? Okay. So every night in the Gambhira, the Lord Chaitanya spent the last 12 years of his manifest presence in this world. He spent the last 12 years of his manifest presence in this world in Gambhira. It's a very secret part of the Jagannath Puri temple, and it's a very small place. It's a very small place. And when you all went to, actually, it's in the house of, it's in Jagannath Puri. It's in Jagannath Puri, and it's the house of Kashi Mishra. It's a very small place. And the room of Lord Chaitanya is so small that there's only enough place for Lord Chaitanya to stand up and just move around here and there with one or two of his associates. And that place is so unique that it's connected to the Jagannath Puri temple, that place. Because there's secret paths that are connected to the Jagannath temple, and one of the secret paths will lead to Gambhira. And when you all went there, the devotees were explaining that to you, right? That this is a very... Huh? You can't see it. You can't see Lord Chaitanya's room, actually, where he was. So, in this room, Lord Chaitanya would be with two of his associates, one of them being Ramananda Raya. And Ramananda Raya every night would be speaking the most esoteric topics of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna's intimate loving pastimes. He would be speaking about the most intimate loving pastimes of Radha and Krishna to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya would remember it more and more and more. And he would exhibit the symptoms of Mahabhav, exhibit the symptoms of love which is experienced only by Srimati Radharani. It's only experienced by Srimati Radharani. These great symptoms of love which Mahaprabhu came to experience, he was able to experience them from the talk of Sri Ramananda Raya. And this talking of Ramananda Raya, every word, every syllable that he spoke was an udipana to Lord Chaitanya. And udipana is what? Udipana is something that you look at something and it immediately invokes a certain kind of emotion in your heart. The example given by the acharyas is that if the mother sees the clothes of her baby, right? Let's just say the mother sees the clothes of her baby, immediately she thinks of the baby and all her loving feelings for that baby come about. We can see, for example, every time when we walk into the shoe room, we see that basket where Guru Maharaj's slippers are supposed to be. Immediately when we see that basket, immediately we think about Guru Maharaj. Although that basket on an extrinsic platform has nothing to do with Guru Maharaj. What does that basket have to do with Guru Maharaj? But because that basket is a place where Guru Maharaj places his lotus, he places his slippers over there, we're immediately reminded of Guru Maharaj. And then by looking at that basket, you'll know, is he here or is he not here? Is he here or is he not here? Is a recording going on? What's going on? So when, the minute you look at that basket, you're immediately reminded of your spiritual master. You think, oh wow, okay, Guru Maharaj, and it's very unique for us. There's one Udipana, and then there's another Udipana in the right outside the bathroom, where there's a small box with Guru Maharaj's bathroom slippers there. So you see them, you think, oh, okay, Guru Maharaj, okay. And when you see them, you're always reminded, okay, Guru Maharaj is here, and it's so ecstatic. I can't wait tomorrow, Mangalarti, we can sing the Guru Vashakam prayers to him personally while he's sitting here. And he's relishing. He's relishing the holy names, relishing this. So these are Udipana. So every word, everything that Ramananda Raya spoke was an Udipana to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, causing him to reach the limit of the love of Srimati Radharani that she has. He spent so much time, he's been trying to reach the limit, but he cannot reach the limit of Radharani's love for Krishna because it's ever expanding. It's ever expanding, Radharani's love for Krishna. So Ramananda Raya, he performs this service of speaking things to Lord Chaitanya. And sometimes when he's speaking to Lord Chaitanya, the speaking would become so ecstatic that Lord Chaitanya would just cover his mouth. Okay, you said enough. Please don't say anymore. I cannot handle it. I cannot handle it. So this is the potency of Krishna Katha. The potency of Krishna Katha that it can completely transform and transport you from this mundane material existence, to the topmost existence on the spiritual plane, to the degree that you are completely unaware of anything that's around you. Lord Chaitanya was completely unaware of anything that's around him. And from hearing the ecstatic talks of Ramananda Raya, Lord Chaitanya would become so ecstatic, it's described, that sometimes his body would elongate so much that all the bones were sagging from his skin, and he would just expand his body so much. And then sometimes he would contract his body. Sometimes what would happen is that Govinda and the other devotees who were with Lord Chaitanya, they would log Lord Chaitanya's door, especially at night, because they didn't want Lord Chaitanya to escape. But then Lord Chaitanya, using his mystic power, he would go through the door, and devotees would open and see, where is Lord Chaitanya? Oh my God, where is Lord Chaitanya? Have you ever had that feeling? Have you ever have the feeling of losing something very valuable? Let's just say someone gave you a big donation and it's in a check, and you keep it in your fanny pack, and then you're looking for the check in your fanny pack and you don't find it. How much anxiety are you going to be in? Right? How much anxiety are you going to be in? Anyway, and then you realize that because of your motive passion is still there and you just didn't pull it out. But this is such a valuable thing that we can say. I remember once, my God, distributing books in Times Square, and a woman was just screaming some name like Johnny. She's just screaming, and we were all wondering what happened. And the cops came, and the woman lost her child in Times Square subway. God, how scary is that? How scary is that? She was screaming, and then I remember Chinmay Radha Mataji, Gaurangi's mother, she came up to me and said, I would be also screaming just like that if Gaurangi was lost. And anyway, as far as I remember, they found the son, and all's well that ends well. But it was, you could feel the pain. You could feel that. You could feel the pain of that mother for her son, because the purest love that a person can experience in this material world is the love of the mother to the son. That's the purest love that a person can experience. So we could hear that pain, and also it says in the Goswami's work that when Akrura was taking Krishna out of Vrindavan, when he was taking Krishna away from Vrindavan, then all the residents of Vrindavan were very sad. But when they heard the anguishing the cries and the anguish calls of Mother Yashoda for Krishna's leaving, just saying, Krishna, no, don't leave. Krishna, no, don't leave. When she was saying that, then all the residents of Vrindavan couldn't handle the emotion that Mother Yashoda was feeling from separation from Krishna, that they all fainted with the exception of the gopis. Because their feeling of separation was even more than that of Mother Yashoda. So that emotion is so strong. And then these devotees, when they open the room and they find that Lord Chaitanya is not there, because he got so ecstatic from hearing the words of Ramananda Raya, then they go all around Puri looking for him. And sometimes I would find him next to the Jagannath Puri temple completely unconscious. Sometimes they would go looking for him here and there, here and there. And sometimes I would find, it is described that Lord Chaitanya became like a golden pumpkin, that his entire body squeezed up. His entire body squeezed up like this, and his hands come in like that, and he looked just like a golden pumpkin. And dude, what's going on? What is this? What can you do? How can you understand Mahabhav? How can you understand? Lord Chaitanya came to exhibit this, to show the devotees what it actually means to love Krishna. Sometimes after hearing the talks of Ramananda Raya, Lord Chaitanya would go and no one would know where he is, and sometimes the devotees would try to find him, and then he would think that the ocean at Puri is Yamuna, and he would jump into the Yamuna, and then there's a whole pastime of a fisherman catching Lord Chaitanya, and he thought, wow, caught a really big fish. But the minute he caught this big fish, he started feeling ecstatic, and he thought, no, I'm getting haunted by a ghost. And then when he pulled it out, he saw that it was it was a body of someone, and this person's body, it was just completely stretched out, and it didn't look like anyone that he knew. And he said, let me chant the Narsinga prayers. Shri Narsimha, Jai Narsimha, Jai Jai Narsimha, Prahaladesha, Jai Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. And the more he chanted, the more ecstatic he became. So he got really confused. What kind of a ghost is this? And then all the devotees were going looking for him. And Swarup Damodar, he finally finds this fisherman, and this fisherman is exhibiting all kinds of weird symptoms of love of God, and he's thinking, okay, this person must know where Lord Chaitanya is. And he asked him, my dear brother, have you seen anything recently which is not? He said, yeah, I just caught this dead body in my boat, and from that I'm it's gone completely mad. Do you know of any treatment of any exorcist? Do you need that's how you say it? Exorcist. Do you know any exorcist who can remove this ghost from me? He said, yeah, actually I know a technique. And Swarup Damodar slaps him 3 times. And he says, this is yours. And then he comes back to external consciousness, and he says, show me where this dead body is. And then he sees it's Lord Chaitanya. And then he says, this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says, no. This is not Lord Chaitanya. The fisherman says, this is not Lord Chaitanya. And what he said, no, this is Lord Chaitanya. What do you mean? He said, no, it's not. And my Guru Maharaj, when he says this, he completely chokes up. I think he was sitting on this Vyasasan here. He says, I have seen Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu many times. And my Guru Maharaj just froze. And it's something that, when I would read Chaitanya, okay, this guy saw him many times, okay. And then, okay, wow. And then he ate a rasgulla or whatever. And you just keep moving on. But my Guru Maharaj completely got frozen and stunned. Just see the fortune of the residents of Navadvip. He's just a fisherman. Yeah, I've seen Lord Chaitanya many times. The great devotees are striving and struggling so hard to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this fisherman in Jagannath Puri, I've seen Lord Chaitanya many times. So who can understand the ecstatic pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And every night, Swarup Damodar, who's Lalita Sakhi, and Ramananda Raya, who's Vishaka Devi, they would speak to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about the ecstatic pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna, the most intimate pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna, And as they spoke it, Lord Chaitanya got more and more and more absorbed in these pastimes of tasting the nectar of Radharani serving Sri Krishna, tasting that nectar. It's inconceivable for us to understand. And, unfortunately, the Ramananda Samvad, the talks between Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Raya, have become the Varnashram basher's delight. It's become the Varnashram basher's delight. They say, oh, Lord Chaitanya, he has to hear about the ecstatic pastimes of Radha and Krishna. He asked Lord Chaitanya asked Ramananda Raya, what is the ultimate goal of life? And Ramananda Raya starts off with Varnashrama. And Lord Chaitanya says, Eho Bhakya, Age Karo Ar, Age Bolo Ar. If this is external, speak more. And then they speak all the way, he speaks out to him all the way until the limit of the gopis' love for Krishna. About Gopi Bhava. He speaks about the most ecstatic, intimate pastimes of the gopis with Krishna. And I'll get back to this point. But before I get back to this point, I want to speak a little bit more about Ramananda Raya's exalted position. Okay? Now this position and pastime that Ramananda Raya performed, Lord Chaitanya said he wouldn't even dare to perform such a thing in his life. Couldn't even dream. And once Bhavananda Raya, he came up to Lord Chaitanya and begged him, my dear Lord Chaitanya, please speak to me about the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And he says, I don't know anything. Whatever I know from Ramananda Raya. So why don't you go and hear from Ramananda Raya? So then he goes and he hears one day from Ramananda Raya, and he comes back to Lord Chaitanya, whoa, this is so ecstatic. He told me all these amazing things. And then again, the second day, he goes and he hears from Ramananda Raya, whoa, this is really exciting. And third day, he comes back and he's really disturbed. And then Lord Chaitanya asked him, why are you disturbed? You just met Ramananda Raya. All these days, you're glorifying him. Why are you disturbed now? And then he says, my dear Lord, when I went to see the pastime of, when I went to hear about the pastimes of Radha and Krishna from Ramananda Raya, I saw that Ramananda Raya, he was training the Devi Dasis. The Devi Dasis. Who are these Devi Dasis? Who are they? Then they are, everything okay? Oh, okay. So I'm sorry, I thought. Okay, they are dancers. They are dancers in front of Lord Jagannath. They are dancers of Lord Jagannath, and they perform all these amazing dance moves only for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath. They perform, and no one else is supposed to see it. It's only meant for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath. And Ramananda Raya was training. Ramananda Raya was training these women as to how to dance. And not only was he training these women how to dance, that itself is like, whoa, what are you doing alone with young, attractive girls alone in the room by yourself? What are you doing? And then not only does he treat them, he personally bathes them for the pleasure of Lord Jagannath. And Lord Chaitanya says that Ramananda Raya is the only person in the entire world who could actually do such a thing. He says, as far as I'm concerned, even if I think about or even touch the form of a woman in the form of a doll, even if I were to touch the form of a woman in a doll, my mind would become so disturbed. So only Ramananda Raya, he is so self-controlled and completely established in his position as Vishaka Devi that for him he's thinking, okay, I'm a Sakhi, I'm a girl, and I'm bathing these other girls, teaching them how to dance for Krishna. What's the problem? So these are things. These are subject matters and topics meant for great exalted devotees like Ramananda Raya. This is a very amazing position of Ramananda Raya. And one must not imitate the position of Ramananda Raya. That we can see that many people, they read this section of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, okay? And you can pull up these couple of verses, Prabhu. Is it going to take too much time? Okay, I'll start reading it. So Lord Chaitanya asks him, Okay. So this is verse number 57 of the Madhya Leela chapter 8. Prabhu kahe pada shloka sadhyar nirnay, Rai kahe swadharma charane Vishnu bhakti hai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Ramananda Raya recite a verse from the revealed scriptures concerning the ultimate goal of life. Ramananda Raya replied, if one executes the prescribed duties of his social position, he awakens his original Krishna consciousness. And then he quotes a verse glorifying, stating how one must perform Varnashram Dharma. Then Lord Chaitanya says, Prabhu kahe eho bahya age kaha ar. This is verse number 59. Okay, anyway, if it's hard to pull up. Then Ramananda Raya, he goes on giving different, first he says Varnashram, then he says, offer the fruits of your hard labor to Krishna. Then he says, empiric knowledge, then devotional service without empiric knowledge. And then he quotes this famous verse, which is, Jnane prayasam udapasya ramanta eva jivanti san mukhritam Bhavadiya vartam sthane sita shatikatan tanuvan manobhir yad prayasa jita jito apitrai srilokyam. This is verse number 68. He says, 67, sorry. Ramananda Raya continued, Lord Brahma said, My dear Lord, those devotees who have thrown away the impersonal conception of the absolute truth and have therefore abandoned discussing empiric philosophical truths should hear from self-realized devotees about your holy name, form, pastimes, and qualities. They should completely follow the principles of devotional service and remain free from illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, and animal slaughter. Surrendering themselves fully with the body, words, and mind, they can live in any ashrama or social status. Indeed, you are conquered by such persons, although you are always unconquerable. So in the next verse, at this point, Prabhu kahe, Eho hai. So now finally he says, all this time he was saying Eho bahya, Eho bahya. Now he says, Eho hoy. Okay, now you reach the point. Aage kaha ar. Again, speak some more. Rai kahe prema bhakti sarva sadhisar. At this point, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, this is all right, but still you can speak more on this subject. Ramananda Raya then replied, ecstatic love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the essence of all perfection. Then, he goes on to quote different verses, and then he glorifies Dasya Rasa. Lord Chaitanya says, go a step further. He says, verse number 74, Prabhu kahe, eho hoy. Okay, that's good. Kichu aage yaar. Kichu aage yaar. He says, please speak a little bit more after Dasya Rasa. Raya kahe sakhya prem sarva sadhya sar. Hearing this from Ramananda Raya, the Lord again requested him to go a step further. This is good. Go a step further. Dasya Rasa is good. Go a step further. Ramananda Raya said, loving service to Krishna rendered in fraternity is the highest perfection. Then he goes on glorifying Sakhya Rasa. And then on verse number, so then after that he glorifies Vatsalya Rasa, verse number 76. Prabhu kahe, e uttam. This is good. This is topmost. This is very, very good. Prabhu kahe, e uttam. Aage kaha ar. But still, go further. Rai kahe, Vatsalya prem sarva sadhisar. The Lord said, this statement is very good, but please proceed even further. Ramananda Raya then replied, loving service to the Lord is a paternal relationship is the highest perfectional stage. Then, on verse number 79, he says, Prabhu kahe eha uttam aage kaha ar. Rahe kahe kanta prema sarva sadhisar. Lord said, your statements are certainly getting better and better, one after another. But surpassing all of them is another transcendent mellow. You can speak of that as the most sublime. Then he goes on, Ramananda Raya said, then replied, conjugal attachment for Krishna is the topmost position, love of Godhead. And then Lord Chaitanya pushes him more and more and more and more to speak about this transcendental subject matters. And in this regard, Srila Prabhupada wrote a book, which is not published by the BBT, which was found later and published by another printing press, called What's the name of that book? I gave you that book. The meaning of, I'm forgetting. Oh, yeah, yes. Oh, in search of the ultimate goal of life, right? In search of the ultimate goal of life. There's another book written by Srila Prabhupada. He speaks extensively about the talks between Ramananda Raya and Lord Chaitanya. It seemed like he didn't really want that. I don't know if he wanted that book published, he could have had that book published by the BBT. But they found it later in Prabhupada's belongings. It's still something written by Srila Prabhupada, so that's ecstatic. So I wanted to ask my Guru Maharaj more about that book. What's the deal with this book? Maybe I can ask him if I see him today or tomorrow, whatever. But Prabhupada also spoke about this. So we can see that, yes, the ultimate goal of the Krishna consciousness movement is to enter into the dancing loving party of Radha and Krishna. But one must not be too eager to become a gopi overnight. This is the point. That Srila Prabhupada spoke about this, about the Eho Bahya, where Srila Prabhupada says that Lord Chaitanya says that Varnashrama is external. So does this mean that Varnashrama is external? That's true. But does it mean that it's not necessary? Srila Prabhupada in this room conversation, he says, Prabhupada explained, there's a room conversation, February 14th, 1977. He says, Srila Prabhupada explains, Eho Bahya, this is Prabhupada. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was interested only on the spiritual platform. He rejected the material side. Our position is different. We are trying to implement Krishna consciousness in everything. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally took sannyas. He rejected completely material, nishkinchana. But we are not going to be nishkinchana. We are trying to cement the troubled position of the world, and this dot dot dot. That is also in the prescription of Bhagavad Gita. We are not rejecting the whole society. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected everything. Eho Bahya, rejected meaning. I do not take much interest in this Bahya, it is external. He was simply interested in the internal, the spiritual. But our duty is that we shall arrange the external affairs also nicely, that one day we will come to the spiritual platform very easily, paving the way. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, personality like that, they have nothing to do with this material world, but we are preaching. Therefore, we must pave the situation in such a way that gradually they will be promoted to the spiritual plane. It's as bright as day, it's as clear as day. So a person must not be too eager to jump to the platform of Prema Bhakti overnight. We've seen way too many examples of people who became a gopi overnight, or who became a gopa overnight, a manjari overnight. They usually they either go for the gopis, the manjaris, or they go for the cowherd boys. They don't really go into... They don't become a blade of grass in Vrindavan overnight. That's too low for them. They don't become a tree in Vrindavan. That's too low for them. Sakya Rasa, I'm a little more esoteric than that, or something like this. They have all kinds of meaning, all kinds of reasons. But we've seen way too many people who jump to this platform so quickly. And for some time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur warns us that initially it may seem like, dude, you got it. You have attained the topmost destination. You have attained the topmost destination. Here you are. You have attained the topmost destination overnight. And the way you attain such a thing is you usually meet some esoteric devotees. Devotees who only speak about esoteric subject matters. They speak about Gopi Leela and this and that. And everything else. I remember one rascal once told me that this book, Mothers and Masters, that, it's, what exactly did he say? Oh, it's only speaking about external things or something like that. Oh, the mission, the mood of Sri Prabhupada is not even fully understood. And he didn't even read the book, but he said these kinds of things. So, they say stuff like this and they become gopis overnight. But then what ends up happening is they become gopis overnight. They're in Ras Leela with Krishna for some time. And after some time, they start doing their own Ras Leela. They start to perform their own illicit sexual activities. That which is the most condemned becomes something which they're most attached to. It becomes part of their sadhana. It becomes like this. We've seen way too many people like this, that they think they're cowherd boys. They think, oh look, varnashrama is external. We don't need all these things. We don't need all these things. But these things are absolutely needed. These things are absolutely needed. A person may be imagining that, oh, now I have attained the highest level of devotional service. I have attained this highest level of devotional service. And I don't need to chant anymore. I don't need to do anything. But at the same time, not even being able to control their genitals. So this kind of nonsensical activity is condemned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and is certainly what Ramananda Raya did not come to give us. Ramananda Raya came to give us the topmost goal of love of Godhead, which Lord Chaitanya also came to give us. But by taking the things given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita very cheaply, Lord Srila Prabhupada condemned these people. There was a Gopi Bhava club formed from reading this section of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada, are only reading from your books. Oh, Prabhu, don't speak about Bhagavad Gita. It only speaks about the modes of material nature. But we are more advanced. One must be very careful of this overnight Gopi syndrome. One must be very careful of this. Because what ends up happening is that whatever advancement one makes, they lose that. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that when a person tries to rise artificially to such a platform, Krishna throws a thunder upon their head. I remember one devotee once, he was forcing me to read this book, Prayo Bhakti Rasarnava. There's a book speaking about the intimate pastimes of Krishna with his cowherd boyfriend. Oh, you should read it. I wasn't even initiated. But Prabhu, read this. One more devotee told me, oh, you should get absorbed in the You should constantly read this pastime of Krishna pulling away, of Akrura taking Krishna away and the gopis holding on to his cart. And you keep doing this, and then you'll actually attain that position of the gopis' love that they're experiencing. I was still a naughty initiate, I was still a bhakta. I didn't even know half of the. I read the Bhagavad Gita, but I didn't know what's going on. So, one must be very careful of the sahajas within the movement. One must be very careful of sahajas within and without the movement. Now we can see there's also a whole group of people who have a movement of sahajas. This is a whole movement of sahajas. They're there. We meet them often. Sometimes we distribute books, and the people we distribute books also become sahajas. Sahajya Rani, all these people are there. My Guru Maharaj said this. So we see that these people, they read the pastimes of Ramananda Raya, and they imagine themselves to be on such a high platform. There's one person who is always very, every time he sees us, he's very offensive to us. And then we asked the devotees, why is this guy like this to us? And he said that, oh no, that's just his bhav. In the spiritual world, he's a very angry gopi. And sometimes we saw this angry gopi smoking a vape also. So this kind of gopi bhav is not recommended in Ramananda Samvad. This kind of gopi bhav, one must be very careful about. This is not meant for the ultimate goal of life. Because see, some people say, oh, I remember the one person who I really looked up to. He was a fantastic book distributor, actually. Such a fantastic book distributor. I couldn't distribute as many books as him when I was new. He was distributing books. I couldn't do it. How is this guy doing it? Just getting in there, just straight cutting through people and giving them the books and convincing them to take a Bhagavad Gita or sometimes Bhagavatam 1.1. I was just so amazed by this person. How is he doing this? And you get a lot of mercy. When you distribute Prabhupada's books, you get a lot of mercy. Your japa is awesome and all these things are great. You read the books, they're awesome. But one must not falsely think that they're on the high level of devotional service. And this person was doing that, distributing books, doing all these things. And after some time, he left New York and he went somewhere else. And then I saw a post of him on Facebook where he was saying that I was chanting Hare Krishna, and then I found this, and I found this person sitting on a tree, and that was his girlfriend at the time. And then he wrote, I found this person sitting on a tree, and now we're together, and we both realized that, I am in Subal's Gana, and she's also in Subal's Gana. I'm also in the same spiritual fraternity as one of Krishna's eternal associates, and we also have a dog, because this dog is actually also a part of Krishna's cowherd boyfriends and helps guide all the cows. So all of them, him, his dog, and his girlfriend, not even wife, girlfriend at the time. And then I remember one of his friends commented, Jaya Nilo Premadana. I found that very funny. So I started, and I liked that comment, and he said, you don't understand my esoteric feelings. You don't understand the feelings that I feel for Krishna and this and that. And it was very low-grade behavior. And this matter was brought up to it. And I'm not doing this to bash a devotee, but I'm just telling you about the dangers of jumping to these things too high. And there's a picture of him just lying down with his girlfriend. And it was brought up to his spiritual master. Spiritual master, this is very low class. You have to stop doing this. It's so low class. You at least get married. But no, we want to try each other out and then get married. So this is what happens if you jump too high. Another person, thinking, yes, I'm a manjari, and this book distribution is all Maya. They say, Sahajas often say this. All this book distribution, Varnashram, Shrama Hevi, Kevalam, this is completely useless. So many people told us this. All of this is completely useless. The real thing is to develop love. You see Ramananda Samvad, you see? You see over here, this is what it says. You have to develop this attachment to Krishna is this and Krishna is that. All these things. But they are simply sahajya tendencies which destroy the devotees, and believe it or not, I've seen so many book distributors fall prey to this. They read books like this, they read sections of Chaitanya Charitamrita like this, and they fall prey to stuff like this. So one must be very careful. One must be very careful of going through. So all right, fine. How will we attain these topmost levels of devotional service? Again and again, our acharyas quote, Pramanai sat sadacharya sadhabhyasya nirantaram bodhen atmanatmanam bhaktimam yutamam labet. The highest devotion is attained in slow degrees. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives us a very easy way. He says, Shri Daita Das Kirtane Teyas Koro Uchay Shrava Harinama Rava Kirtana Prabhave Smarana Swabhave. that by the intensity of loud kirtan, one will remember his smarana swabhave. He will remember who he is in the spiritual world. Kirtana prabhave smarana swabhave. He will remember who he is in the spiritual world. So by engaging intensely in the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a person will attain the topmost goal of love of Godhead. They simply have to follow the previous acharyas. Tishtan vrajetat anuragi jananugami. A person must follow in the footsteps of the great acharyas. A person must follow in these footsteps, must follow their instructions. When a person does this, then they will gain entrance into the abode of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. Then they can associate. All this, Prabhu, the deities are, this person needs to tell me, that the deities are talking to me, Gaurnitai told me this, Gaurnitai told me that. So a person must be careful of all this kind of nonsensical devotional service and take to pure devotional service as chalked out by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada is a very unique person empowered by Lord Chaitanya. So one must understand these points very carefully. So I'll end the class here. Sorry for going 2 minutes over time. If there's any questions or comments, we can take them now. Yes, Ali Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. You said that if someone falls into this tendency that whatever progress they make, they lose that. But that's also that there's no loss or diminution on this path. So what?
But you lose it when you make offenses. What these people say is, oh, Prabhupada, he was just, he just came to teach you you're not your body. He's not such a high guru. We will take you to a higher guru. And the higher guru will give you. Like you see, read Ramananda Raya. Oh yeah, he's writing all these things in his purpose, but that's just for low level. I'll take you to a guru who's on a high level than Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. So they make offenses. And then when you make offenses to Srila Prabhupada, what hope do you have? You see, in one person, he's completely mad. Insane, actually. Anything else? Yes. No names.
Hare Krishna. So, I'm from Houston, right? And so, a long time ago, this guy came to Houston. He claimed to be a Prabhupada disciple. And they just believed him, right? But I detected something about this guy, something was off, right? So one day I was at home, I was not able to go to the temple, but I watched it online. He started saying that we should stop book distribution and go into samadhi. That's what he said in the lecture. So I was thinking, what the, Prabhupada said book distribution is samadhi, actually, right?
Right.
So then they found that this guy some other sampradaya, some sahaja thing, and they kicked him out. But this is, I don't know. And then you mentioned about, so one devotee said that there was a book distributor. He was doing a lot of books, right? A lot of books. He was number one for several years. And they said, what is your secret? He said, my secret is japa. That's his secret.
Yeah. That's true. One of these things that these people actually do is they put down book distribution like anything. Or that's just karma yoga. That Prabhupada engaged you in book distribution because you couldn't sit in one place. Varnashrama, this is just for like some, smarties kind of people. Book distribution and farms, they're just for ishrameva hi kevalam kind of stuff. But the real thing is to develop, love for Krishna. How will you develop love for Krishna if you don't do what the acharyas ask you to do? That's the point. How will you develop love for Krishna if you don't do what the acharyas ask you to do? You have to do what the acharyas ask you to do, then you develop love for Krishna. Now that you imagine some kind of nonsense due to your speculation. That's the point. Anything else? Yes, Avadhu Chandra Prabhu.
Prabhu, just a comment. You're speaking about like the Gopi Bhava Club, and you also made this comment about some devotee who was criticizing the the mothers and masters without even having to read the book. And yesterday, Chandanacharya Prabhu was talking about the importance of just attending the morning program, following Mangalarti, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and you can see how when there's philosophical deviation, it's like so treacherous. And I think there's somewhere it might be in the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada said that, when I leave, you simply just keep on going, discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, and everything will be just fine.
Yeah. Shurasya dhara nijida duratyaya durgam patis, what's the next word? Tat kavayor vadanti, utishya jagrata prapya varam nibodhata. Wake up. Understand the great boon, the great gift that you've received. Take to the spiritual life. Spiritual life is like a razor's edge. It's like a razor's edge. So you stick to this path and you'll be able to go back home, back to God very easily. But philosophical deviations become so crazy. You start to read it, and then you start to only understand. I remember this is so, it's so sad because I saw it happen in front of my eyes. I was with this devotee, we were distributing books so amazingly, so nicely. And then we go on traveling Sankirtan, and then he's like, Prabhu, can you read? He was driving, and he said, can you read from this book? And then he gave me Vidagdha Madhava to read from. I'm thinking, Prabhu, have you even read all of Srila Prabhupada's books? No. Have you read the entire Bhagavatam? No, but I want to read Vidagdha Madhava and Lalita Madhava. And so this kind of stuff destroys devotional service. It really destroys. One must be so careful. One must go through Prabhupada's books several times, attain that purification, and then go to the works of the previous acharyas, the Goswami literatures. It's not just something that you jump to, or you go to it with specific permission of your spiritual master and the guidance. So it's very important, these things. Anything else? Anything from the Matajis? Okay. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Sri Ramananda Samvad ki jai.